Hello everyone, what's going on? It is MTEN here. Welcome back to another Terraria 1.4.1 changelog readout video. Thank you very much for the support on parts 1 and 2. In those parts, we went over all of the new content and content changes in part 1, as well as looking at the balance changes to all of the weapons. Then in part 2, we looked at armor and accessories. There was a lot there. So in this video, we're going to be going over the rest of the stuff. I hope you all enjoyed. If you haven't seen parts 1 or 2, don't worry, it doesn't really matter what order you watch them in. I'll leave a link in the description to those parts so you can check them out from there. Anyway, let's jump into it. This is the changelog from the Terraria Community Forums. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Before I get started, can I just ask, please make sure to smash that like button and that subscribe button. My goal is to reach 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and if this video gets 500 likes, I'm going to make a video on how to get all 8 vanity items that have been added in the Terraria 1.4.1 update. Alright, let's go. Okay, so we're starting with tools and mounts. Let's go through these. So, the Reaver Shark has had a buff, because that got a major nerf in Terraria 1.4. So, use time decreased from 18 to 13. Which means the Reaver Shark is the best pre-hard mode pickaxe for mining almost any material that it can mine except for stone/hard tiles, which the molten pickaxe is still slightly faster for. This will give it a viable niche even without its original power. I wonder if this means people will still bother trying to get it though, unless they're going for specific fishing based Let's Plays. Bone pickaxe has been buffed. It's a higher drop chance now, 2 to 5%. Chlorophyte jackhammer has been buffed. Included this item in the drill chainsaw mechanics overhaul. It has now increased speed at the expense of range. The mechanics rod has been buffed with a 5% fishing power increase, now sold by the mechanic as soon as she can be rescued, not just in hard mode. It's now available in every other moon phase rather than only a single moon phase. That's cool. So basically, once you defeat Skeletron and find the mechanic, you have 35% fishing power. Fiberglass fishing pole has had an increased chance of spawning and a 3% fishing power buff, as well as the scarab fishing rod, 25 to 30% fishing power. Sitting ducks rod, the traveling merchant will now only sell this after Skeletron has been defeated, so it's been re-tiered. Living wands and leaf wands have a chance of being dropped from tree hit purity forest trees, offering a rare but renewable source of them. So you know how when you tap a tree sometimes it drops acorns and wood? Now it has a chance to drop wands, which is cool. And the same with the living mahogany and rich mahogany leaf wand, have a 1 in 200 chance. Now this is the big one. The black spot has been nerfed exceptionally. The top speed and acceleration decreased dramatically. Previously its top speed was higher than the UFO mount, but now it is less. Can no longer dash into mount and instantly reach top acceleration. The black spot was originally intended to be a mount that would be bad for boss fights due to its slow acceleration, but good for cross-world travel due to its high top speed. Unfortunately, our oversight was this made the mount excellent for boss kiting so much that it broke several boss fights. It was never intended to be useful in this manner, particularly because it's come so early in progression. We regret having to nerf it so substantially, but as an infinite flight mount that comes several tiers before the UFO mount, it should still possess substantial value as an item. We all knew this was coming, really. Skutlix mount has been buffed. So there was a unlisted change from 1.4 that dramatically reduced the range of the Skutlix's mounts attack. This was not a willful omission, but a change made for performance optimization purposes. Okay, as takes priority over balance adjustments. However, we've reassessed it and have increased the range back up to 850, which is a middle ground that offers a bit more range without the majority of the performance impact. Additionally, to compensate for the lost range, the damage of the Skutlix shots has now been increased from 100 to 150. Still, I think, really underpowered for the stage of the game that you get the Skutlix. I don't know anyone that's actually used this mount in a playthrough. Let me know if you have in a comment section down below, but most people would just opt for the UFO mount in pretty much every situation. Dark Mage's Tone. The mount now steps up slopes and 1-block tiles like the Flying Carpet. Cool. Witch's Broom, slightly increased speed values, so that's a minor upgrade over the UFO mount. Cool. So Witch's Broom is now officially the best mount in the game, or unless, I don't know, Shrimpy Truffle's probably better if you are in the rain. Flamingo mount's been nerfed. Oh, that's a shame. Top speed decreased from 7.5 to 6. Despite having slightly lower top speed than the horse mounts, the Flamingo was available earlier and had dramatically higher acceleration and handling, as well as special water utility to boot. This means it was a superior mount that somewhat invalidated the horse mount's value, even though it was supposed to be a lower grade mount. Pre-hard mode horse mounts has been top speed increased from 8 to 9. Jewel of Light and pumpkin scented candle pets have increased their brightness by 50%, and this Moonlord Light pet has a brightness increased by 33%. Okay, so there's actually quite a few crafting recipe changes. Previously, killing a wandering... Okay, so we've got the pre-hard mode Blood Moon items. Had previously killing a wandering eye fish and zombie merman had a flat 1 in 8 chance for the game to select one of the 3 items to drop, and it would only drop 1. This has been changed so that each of the 3 items has their own independent 1 in 8 chance to drop. This means you could potentially get more than 1 drop at once, and the 3 are no longer competing with each other, effectively increasing their drop rate by 3%. That's fantastic. So instead of a 1 in 24 chance, it's now a 1 in 8. That's what I like to see, because it desperately needed a buff. Bloody Tear increased drop rate from by half from standard Blood Moon enemies. Increased drop rate to 1 in 25 from Blood Moon fishing enemies. Increased drop rate from to 1 in 5 from the Groom and the Bride, and half for the Dread Nautilus in Expert Master. This drop rate is 100%. Sanguine Staff is a 1 in 2 drop from the Dread Nautilus in Expert Master mode. This drop is 100%. The Blade Staff, yes, I noticed this. It now drops from the Queen Slime instead of Enchanted Swords. So you can't get it right at the start of hard mode, which is interesting. So it means it's a bit higher tier, but it also means it's a much better chance of getting this item. So I think this could be interesting. Kites from Balloon Slimes are roughly 3 times more likely to drop. Paper Aeroplanes are mostly the same. My favourite, Paper Aeroplanes. Best item in the game. And they now drop in small stacks. Bone Serpent Kite has an increased drop rate. Sturdy Fossil. Tomb Crawlers now have a chance to drop small amounts of Sturdy Fossil. And Oasis and Mirage crates have a chance to as well. Velour / Muramasa and Golden Lockboxes. Fix an issue where Muramasa had twice the odds of dropping from a Golden Lockbox compared to other items. Velour can now be found from Golden Lockboxes as well. Torches have a buff. Jungle Torches have a more efficient recipe, giving more torches per Jungle Spore. If you have 20 torches at any point, you have an increased chance to get torches when breaking pots. Interesting. Mana Crystal. In light of the increased spawn rate of Falling Stars in 1.4, the recipe for Mana Crystals has increased from 3 to 5 Fallen Stars. No! That's bad! No, I liked it when they were 3. Remember back in the day when it cost 10 and Fallen Stars were super rare? You couldn't... That was pre-Hoik era. Back in 1.1 it cost 10 Fallen Stars and you couldn't set up Hoik. You had to craft a sky bridge and stuff. And the earliest magic weapon in the game was the Water Bolt, I think, if you got that early enough. Yeah, it was crazy. Oh no, the Star Fury. Star Fury used to be a magic weapon. Early game ores, ore tools, weapons and armor. Cost of making early game ore equipment has re-evaluated across the board with cost reductions to most items. Pickaxes have their crafting cost reduced from 12 to 10. Axes 9 to 8, and copper / tin has been reduced. Broadswords crafting costs are unchanged. Copper broadswords dropped. Short swords dropped. Hammers dropped. Bows have not had their crafting costs changed. Copper and tin armors costs have been reduced from 15, 25, 20 to 12, 20, 16. Iron and lead 20, 30, 25 to 15, 25, 20. Silver and tungsten dropped to 15, 25, 20, and gold and platinum to 20, 30, 25. Hard mode ore swords have been buffed. Crafting cost of the cobalt and mithril swords has been dropped. Palladium and orichalcum swords has been dropped. And adamantite and titanium swords has not changed, but see the next section for more info. Here we go. The crafting cost of adamantite and titanium bars has been reduced to 4 ore instead of 5. That means everything in that tier costs 20% less, which is cool. The crafting efficiency per fallen star for Jester's arrows has been reduced by half. You now get 10 arrows per star rather than 20. Damn. And this is a good one. Super Star Shooter source change. Rather than being sold randomly from the Traveling Merchant, this weapon is now crafted with the Star Cannon and Hallowed Bars. Yeah. That's definitely a positive from me. I remember when I went into 1.4, I was so confused when the Super Star Shooter wasn't actually a crafting recipe from the Star Cannon. It made no sense to me. And then I found out you got it from the Traveling Merchant, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I don't know. I like this change. It's a big one. Have a look at buffs and debuffs. So, these have been completely overhauled. Frostburn. Player Frostburn now does 8 DPS like enemy Frostburn. Cursed Inferno 1.4 purported to increase Cursed Inferno damage by 2 times. This was in error due to misreading the code. In truth, this was an increase from 6 to 12. This has now been remedied, and Cursed Inferno probably does 24 DPS. However, player-based Cursed Inferno has not been increased correspondingly, so they will still take 12 DPS. Venom has been reworked. 1.4 attempted to increase the Venom damage from 12 to 30. An error. Venom has now been replaced to Acid Venom. This will dramatic overhaul to its enemy immunity. Enemies who are immune to poison are no longer necessarily immune to Acid Venom, and Acid Venom will now usually impact undead, stone, metal, and poisonous enemies. Interesting. So Venom now does 30 DPS, and players will take 15 DPS. Ichor's been nerfed. Defense reduction has been reduced from 20 to 15. Oiled. Now this is the new on fire debuff. Rather than individually boosting different on fire like debuffs with admittedly arbitrary amount, Oiled now adds an additional flat 25 DPS if the target is suffering from any of these debuffs. For example, if the target is on fire, it will take a total of 29 if oiled. Thorn Potions. The Thorns effect from this potion has been increased to a third of the damage taken, to 100% of the damage taken. Yeah, that's good, because no one was really using the Thorns potion. Dryad's Blessing. The Thorns effect from this buff has increased from 20% of the damage taken to 50% of the damage taken. And Debuff Immunity Overhaul has been reworked. Okay, so let's read this out. Though far too extensive to fully document, hundreds of changes have been made to enemy debuff immunities across the game. Generally speaking, the majority of these changes were making enemies susceptible to debuffs that they were previously immune to. Venom change, previously mentioned, is the most prominent example. Large number of enemies that were previously immune to Cursed Inferno no longer are, particularly many stone and metal enemies. Previously, enemies which were immune to Cursed Inferno were always immune to Shadow Flame. That's no longer the case. Ghost-like enemies, Wraiths, Poltergeists are now always immune to all major debuffs, including Ichor. This does not extend to whip debuffs. A large number of enemies that were immune to everything no longer are. Several enemies which are immune to everything intentionally are no longer immune to whip debuffs, as those are meant to be universal. Though there are a few exceptions, the vast majority of confusion-immune enemies still are. Unfortunately, this is because confusion requires specialized code for each type of enemy, so the cost investment to making these to make more susceptible enemies to confusion is dramatically higher than simply setting them to not immune like other debuffs. Yeah, it's probably because it's a more complicated one, they have to be sent in the other direction. Alright. Alrighty, so there's some enemies that have had some changes. The Vicious Goldfish now spawns naturally in Crimson Water. Never actually spawned naturally before, with regular goldfish spawning instead. The Blood Feeder, which is a hard mode fish enemy, now has hard mode stats rather than goldfish stats. So a necessary buff. Ghosts have been nerfed, life decreased from 70 to 50, damage decreased, defense decreased, and knockback susceptibility increased. Antlion larvae have been nerfed, with their life and damage being reduced. Very thankful of that. Antlion eggs. Well, antlion eggs are now less common in initial world gen, which is good. So there should be less of them overall, making the underground desert slightly less dangerous. Big yay. Antlion eggs will now slowly regrow over time like beehives in the jungle, but like beehives only until there are a certain number in an area to prevent oversaturation. No. We don't need... No, thank you. We don't need them to regrow. There's already too many, so, no, that's okay. It's, no need for that. Maybe what this does mean is that it's better to go early in the game to the underground desert, but we'll see. Rolling Cactus has had a nerf. Reduced the base boulder damage by about a third and increased the Cactus Thorn projectile damage from 20 to 30. Angry Dandelions and Rock Golems had a bug fixed where where their projectile damage scaled twice. The Wall of Flesh has had a rework. Wall of Flesh now causes the screen to fade to black and will despawn if nearby players are dead or there are no more players nearby. So that means you can't try and refight the Wall of Flesh by jumping down back into hell again whilst it was going across the world. So I don't know why they did that, but fair enough. Ice Elemental projectile attack can now increase. Frostburn, Jungle Creeper, which is the spiders in the jungle, have had their stats matched to the Black Recluses. So, yay. The hard mode jungle just got a little bit more difficult. And they can spit web in expert and master mode as well. Lack, Cyan and Cochineal Beetles have reduced rarity, so they will no longer take priority over even more rare enemies such as Lost Girls. Phantasm Dragon has had a massive buff, life increased from 4,000 to 10,000. Head, body, and tail defense increased. Head damage and body and tail damage increased. So watch out for this thing. This will really make or break the Lunatic Cultist boss fight potentially, because make sure you are picking the right cultist and taking damage or giving damage to the right cultist. Hopping Jacks, which are the pumpkins, can now spawn in graveyards in hard mode at any time of year, and Vortex Lightning increase the damage of both types of lightning bolts during the Vortex invasion to 100. Okay, so this is probably the longest of all of the parts, but we're in the final section, miscellaneous and quality of life changes. The graveyard threshold has been changed. The number of graves required to trigger both a full graveyard and the various levels of graveyard ambience has been increased by 1. Town Happiness rework. The boost from the so much space factor has been reduced by half. The boost penalty for like/dislike/love and hate factors has been increased by 20. Everything is worth a little bit more in any direction. You can now have up to 3 NPCs in close proximity without any crowding unhappiness. It will now begin when there are 4 NPCs in close proximity. Furthermore, the size of the penalty starts smaller than before, though it will grow faster with each additional NPC. The size of the town detection has been doubled. In 1.4, sand and other falling tiles are immune to block swap. However, this has been partially adjusted. You can now block swap the topmost tile, working from the top down but not from the bottom. Additionally, once your pickaxe power is high enough, you can block swap falling tiles freely. Interesting. Meteorite ore. While still immune to explosions under normal circumstances like other materials, they will become breakable with explosives after entering hard mode. The jungle and corrupt/crimson world gen. World gen will now attempt to avoid overlapping corruption in crimson biomes with the jungle. Yes, thank you. While it's still possible to have overlap, the world gen system will strongly discourage it in general, so expect far less worlds with corrupt/crimson jungles. This does not apply to the hard mode infection strips. Armed zombie/throwing skeleton statues can be found in world gen. Shadow chests in world gen. Shadow chests are now more numerous, with the limit increasing from 7 to 10 to 10 to 15. Pyramid rarity. World gen's chances to place pyramids have been increased by 50%. I could have sworn, I don't even think I've had a pyramid since Terraria 1.4 has occurred. So that's good that they're adding more. Enchanted sword shrines. World gen chance to place enchanted sword shrines has been doubled. More accurately, each attempt to generate only had a 1 in 4 chance to succeed, and that has been increased to half. Sandstorm frequency increased chances by 2 times and 1.33 times pre-hard mode. Interesting. Rock lobster sell value has been decreased from 20 silver to 10 silver. Sakura, yellow, and wind saplings price decreased from 3 gold to 1 gold. Special furniture crafting stations. The steampunk will now sell most of the special furniture stations if you are in the correct biome. That's cool. So snow biome, steampunker sells the ice machine. The space house will sell the sky mill, etc. Bone welder is sold when in a graveyard, as the dungeon is no proper home. Mirage, fish, and pixie. Living looms will be sold if the player is carrying a living wood wand. Interesting. Mirage, fish/pixie fish. Adjusted mirage, fish, and pixie fish to be uncommon instead of rare. Tree hit volute. The limit on the number of tree hits you can attempt per day has been increased from 200 to 500. Sharpening stations. The merchant will now Tongue twister. The merchant will now sell sharpening stations in hard mode. The wizard now sells books. That's cool. That's nice. It means you can sell. You can make bookshelves in hard mode. 1, 3, and 5 second timers are still craftable, but are also sold by the mechanic. That's cool. I think they had that from the start on mobile, but I think that's a good change. They were just too frustrating to craft. Mushrooms, regular orange mushrooms, now have a potion sickness time of 30 seconds instead of the full 60. Interesting. Fishing decreasing returns. In early 1.4's development, we implemented a decreasing returns system on high-level fishing power. Yes. This is before later implementing several other fishing nerfs. In hindsight, with the inclusion of these later changes, the original decreasing returns change is no longer needed, so it is being reverted. As of this update, high amounts of fishing power no longer have decreasing returns in how much benefit they grant. Yes! Yes! That means you can have insane fishing power. Maybe I should make a top fishing power in Terraria video again. Because I never made one in the end. So if you all would like to see that, let me know in the comment section down below. Alright, pylons and the Celestial Invasion. Pylons can now be used during the Celestial Invasion to traverse the world to combat the various pillars. This exception does not include Moonlord, as they are still unusable during other invasions / boss fights. Journey mode, starting inventory. Yes, you now get a grappling hook. Boss-related bestiary entries. Boss minions, which have their own bestiary entries, are now unlocked fully upon defeating their corresponding boss. Dark Mage and Ogre now only need to be killed once to unlock their full bestiary entries, and that is it. Those are all the changes. I'm not going to be going through bug fixes and stuff like that, but those are all the changes in Terraria 1.4.1. That is crazy. They did a lot of balancing on this update, as you can see. But it has been a journey, and this is the last major Terraria update. We are expected to get a couple of little bug fixes and changes. Terraria version 1.4.1.1 or Terraria version 1.4.1.2. And, like, how the Torch God got added. Like, that sort of thing. Small things like that are going to be added. But, yeah. It's been a journey. So congratulations to the dev team on almost 10 years of brilliant game development. It's been an honour to be a Terraria YouTuber for the last 7 of them. So, yeah, this is the changes to the final update. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what videos you'd like to see next from me, and turn on that notification button so you are notified when an upload comes out. Hopefully this video can reach 500 likes. I think that would be awesome. But anyway, I will see you all next time. Goodbye, everyone.